Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Elden Ring Nightreign. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss with me, a returning guest, the man with the legs, Jack Mullen.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, Gooch. I appreciate you, brother.
Dude, absolutely. It's been... Like, I should have looked up when we did the Shadow of the Erd Tree review, but it's probably about a year, maybe a little less.
I would say it's probably floating around. What did that come out, like June or July of last year? So,
I was listening to the intro. Like I was telling you last night, I was like, I need to listen to that intro again, for reasons I'll reveal in a second here. But yeah, man, it's good to have you back. That was a great conversation, and you know, we didn't. Who thought we were going to be reviewing an Elden Ring game a year later?
Yeah, definitely not me, man. Like I assumed maybe I would be playing Elden Ring or the DLC for another 2 years or so.
Yeah,
and we got a pleasant little surprise here with the with Nightreign. Huh?
Yeah, especially for me because you know, you may have told me, but like going in and even buying it, I was like, is this going to be it? You know, I was really kind of concerned. Not from the price point, but it's just like what I saw was like, I don't really know if I want a Souls game right now, let alone play another like Elden Ring type game.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was late to the party. You guys had, I don't know if you played that like weekend that it came out, because I was away on a bachelor party. So I was like, I'm going to come in late.
Yeah, so I did play that weekend, but I also shared the same sentiment as you, where I was like, I was sort of unsure about it, mainly because that's not the multiplayer aspect, that's not their bag of tricks, right? So I was like totally okay with the fact that I was going to play it either way. I was like, I got to give it a shot.
Right.
But the optimism going into it was like, it feels like it's going to be one of those games that like I'll play a few times, say that I played it a few times, and then just never pick it up again.
Right. It was a weak game.
Right. That was my expectation.
Yeah. It's so funny because I don't play games like that. So like the thought of like somebody, let's pretend it was $70.
Yeah.
Somebody buying a $70 game to play it for a week. Like,
well,
that's not a great investment.
Well, even
in this economy?
Even more hilarious, Gooch, is I didn't just buy the base game. I bought the deluxe edition.
Oh God, I only bought the base, man.
Even going into it, being pessimistic about whether or not, like, I was like, I don't really have high hopes, but whatever. Even going into it, I was like, I mean, they deserve the highest level of support I can give them regardless.
Sure.
It helps that I get when the DLC drops for it. I do get that. That was like an add-on for it. So once that comes out, I think they're shooting for like Q4, I think, for that.
Yeah.
So I do get that. But yeah, hilariously, like even though I'm sitting here saying like I was a little iffy about it going into it, I still grabbed the deluxe edition because I felt like I needed to, just because of how much I loved Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I mean, I'm like that with like Death Stranding. I not only bought the collector's edition of the game, I bought the controller and a physical copy of the game.
Right.
So I bought the game twice.
And that's part of you loving the game, but it's also part of like, even though your X amount of dollars in the grand scheme of things probably isn't that much, it's still this like internal feeling of like, I want to help this creator out in any way. Like It's kind of like back when music, we were like boosting stuff on the LimeWire and stuff, but if you like really loved an artist, but if you like really loved an artist, you were like, all right, I'll get the iTunes card,
or
get the album, so it's sort of like a thing like that for me, where
and this you know, for From, this is a departure in every sense of the word. You know, we've never seen From has stuck to the same formula since, not the beginning, but, you know, since Demon Souls came out, they've been doing this formula, and it's worked. You know, we have some misses like Dark Souls 2, but like Dark Souls 1, 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring,
right,
Sekiro, it all worked.
Right.
And then we get this where, you know, it's a multiplayer title, and it's not necessarily like a Souls game. Like, I really don't feel like it is. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the first few sessions, what you thought, and then, you know, we'll go somewhere.
Yeah, so my immediate reaction when playing it was I was expecting Elden Ring, but just play it together with your friends. Mm-hmm. And it has facets of that for sure. The combat is essentially the same. There's obviously little quirks that we can talk about later if we want, but I think that once I got the hang of what the exact formula was going through the runs, I found myself like almost this like slight little addiction to it. Because there was just there was just like a loop of like every single time that, and even like on the first couple of runs, I was like, oh, I saw this before. This is kind of the same. Oh, I know this boss is here. Like you're sort of, it's very repetitive, but for a reason that I can't explain, it has me absolutely hooked. Absolutely hooked. And it might be because of the multiplayer aspect, playing a lot with you, playing a lot with Sach, playing John Pignatelli just picked it up a little bit ago. So, like, it could be that is what's drawing me into it, that social aspect. But I'm absolutely hooked. Like, during the day, if I'm not playing it, if I'm not working, I'm playing it. If I'm not playing it, I'm texting someone about playing it.
Yeah. I have to be grateful that I've had 2 friends to go through this game with. Because, honestly, I feel like, I mean, as we both experienced, playing with randoms is a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's
you do get good groups here and there.
Right.
But, like... Here's some of the negative of Nightreign. Why is there no voice comms? There's no, like, the ping system without it should be more in depth to compensate for that.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to like expect to go into Gaping Jaw and expect to win because it's one of the hardest bosses in the game, even though it's the second boss.
Right.
And like, expect to get anywhere when you literally can't communicate. You have your fucking Wilder going off into East Jabip, and like, maybe it's just me and you, and we've been in groups where like our other guy just fucks off, and it's just like this runs over.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's probably the biggest where it comes up short for me is the lack of communication. I don't necessarily know if they wanted to go full comms and have that random, like be able to have a game chat, sure, whatever. But at minimum, I think they should have like a quick ping system, like not a quick ping system, but a quick like response system or a quick message system.
Right. Kind of like
that gives
Apex
a little,
does.
like Apex, something that where you can get just a little bit of more detail. And along with that, maybe something where you can set waypoints for pings. Because if I ping something on the map, right, and it's on the exact other side, and I'm trying to communicate, if I'm not in like, if I don't have voice comms going with the people I'm playing with, like if it's randoms or something, I'm not able to communicate properly. Like, yes, I want to go to this church on this corner of the map, but on the way I want to hit poison, I want to hit this frost, there's a jail right here. Like, you can't set those little things.
Nuance,
right? Because if they see that, they're like, dude, we're gonna have to run all the way across the map. Like, that's not the ping that we want. So you have to do this like janky, like you. Hopefully they have their map pulled up and you like ping, and then you're like, and then here, and then here, and you're like, it just doesn't. That's not
right. It's not conducive.
Good. Right. It's not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the things, and there's more things that feel a little half baked in the game for sure. Definitely some like half-baked stuff going on where I'm like, it feels like they just kind of were like, oh shit, we forgot about this. Let's just toss that in there and then that'll like make up for it. But then it just, FromSoft just does combat so well that like I can totally look through.
Yeah, the gameplay is definitely not a problem.
Yeah.
The game is a lot fucking faster. We've both complained about like we're in 3 matches deep, my hand's fucking killing me because you're just constantly kind of sprinting and moving forward, and like I remember our first few games, especially when I joined you and Mike, and I was just like, I've no fucking idea what's going on. The tutorial is pretty bad in that sense. It doesn't really hold your hand, but it doesn't really do anything of any substance to actually help you understand what the fort is and the mine is and why you would want to go to the mine.
Why do you want to go there? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, like the shifting earths are cool, and it's cool to be like, all right, let's go in and check it out and see what it is. Because if you're playing your first few games, you never experienced that, and you've had enough time to acclimate to what else is on the map. I'm cool for that mystery, and that's good to be able to like jump in and kind of figure it out as you go. But like on another sense, it's like you don't like when we were first playing, like I don't even know what we're building up to here. The tutorial doesn't really It's not like it like drops you into the game and it kind of like is like a real handholdy round.
Right.
It's just not like that.
It's definitely something where it's like, hey, you remember how to dodge and stuff,
Trial
right?
by fire.
And it's like, all right, great. Well, go out there and there's like you said, I think a really important thing would be So, and maybe, you know what, dude? Maybe this exists somewhere where it does tell you what a mine can offer or something like that. But you know how they are. They
the
bury
menus
shit, so.
and all the here's the thing and blocks of text.
Right.
I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
That's not.
I don't want to read a novel.
This is a multiplayer game.
Exactly. So
it's not like that shouldn't be there.
Right.
It's
I'm
not
trying
like
to. All of that stuff should be quick and easy so that I can get out of the way so that I can play with my friends, keep it rolling, get to that next boss. Because you brought up the lore, like.
Yeah.
There's lore-wise, there's really not much going on with it. But I don't, and maybe it was, again, maybe it's something where it's like tucked away. Like Elden Ring was like that, where, you know, inspecting weapons or something would give you so much lore.
Right, you're not doing that.
You're not doing that with this, but I'm fine with it because it doesn't seem like that's what they're trying. It's not what this is trying to be. I'm fine with it. But I also think that there are little pockets where they, you know, this is their first real attempt at something like this, and there's little things that they missed that I think could be explained better, you know, within the visual codex, but like just little like cheat sheet types of it. Like most of the information I'm getting, and I think you're getting as well, is coming through Reddit posts of a dude being like, hey, I made up like an infographic, like hopefully this helps you guys because I had no fucking clue.
Yeah, I like the remembrances system. I like how you can kind of do objectives to progress the character story, and this game's narrative is character based. It's not really about the world. You know, I at first I thought it was before Elden Ring, but I think it's after. I mean, I'm not really sure. It's clear. I'll need Vadi Vidya to make a video about that,
which is just
to explain it to me, of course. But yeah, like I kind of like the dialogue and like the relationships with the characters, and the characters kind of seem interesting. I think all of them are kind of appealing. None of them seem like kind of lame. I know with Iron Eye I was talking about how it's like this is the first American voice in a Souls game,
dude,
I've ever
and
heard.
I think about that a lot. When you first brought it up, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then remember I was running around, for quick little tidbit for those at home, remember I was running around because I was like, oh, I kind of want to hear, I've never really heard American voice in these games. I was like, I kind of want to hear it, so I'm running around. And do you remember this? I was like, I can't fucking find Iron Eye. And you were like, are you Iron Eye running around trying to find Iron Eye? And I was like, it was like 15 minutes of me like sprinting around trying, but it
is he?
But it was such a like cool little thing of like, oh shit, like it was just enough to like throw me off hearing that voice like that. And I think that's part of why I love the character, is because I'm picturing like an American thrown into this world, which isn't typically that hadn't happened before.
Yeah.
So he's like kind of, you know, Americans have like a specific type of like personality to them, and if you're picturing them like shooting a bow, you picture it being different than some sort of like medieval knight shooting a bow.
Right. Like I think when game developers make fantasy worlds, they often try to understand like why they're using the accents and where and who it would be what. Like I'm just thinking of like Game of Thrones. Like I'm sure there's a difference between the way the Starks talk and the way the Lannisters talk.
Right. It's probably just a little like...
Right. It's like a different British accent.
Yeah.
And
because they're more northern, so they're going to have like a different sort...
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when you're designing a game, it's like you're probably thinking about that. And, you know, like Guardian is like an Indian guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool. There's like it's like the cast seems like diverse in look, in skill set. I feel like all the characters are good.
Yeah.
And suit different play styles. Like you've been saying, you've been maining Iron Eye. I've been kind of doing everything.
Yeah.
But I really like the Executor and oh my god, why? I feel like I'm blanking on one.
Which one? What does he or she feel like? How do you play them?
Oh my god.
Revenant, Recluse.
No.
Raider.
No.
Guardian, Wilder.
Maybe it's Wilder?
Iron Eye.
Am I like... Maybe I'm like...
I'm picturing the board.
Duchess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the only
like,
one I didn't name.
Yeah, like I like them all. And I feel like there is room. Like, you know, we are going to get more characters. And that would be interesting to see, like, you know, what else they're going to do. And but yeah, like I don't feel like anyone's like a dud.
Yeah.
Which is good.
So you'll definitely have more of a... a reason to say that because you do cycle through. Like, I don't think I've ever seen you play the same character twice in a row, unless there was a reason before because we figured this boss was like
right,
easier
like when we were
have,
like when
you
we were
figured
doing
out
Gaping Jaw or something like that.
You
or,
figured out, it might have been Sentient Pest. You figured out that if you can get a tank to bring the scorpion away, then you're going to be all right. So like something like that for sure. But for me, so when I first started playing it, I was like, I need the character that plays the most like Elden Ring combat of how I played Elden Ring, which was very much like two-handed sword, just like roll around, and that was Wilder. It was basically exactly the same exact way that I played. And I'm having a hard time. Like, you have the background of playing all of the Souls games and stuff, and you've probably run them in like different ways and so on and so forth with like different play styles. So I'm working. I know that like I played Guardian a couple times. I've played obviously Wilder, Iron Eye a million times, but I'm working towards like I need to get into like the Duchess world. I need to get into the Executor world and like give them runs because I'm sort of handcuffing. I need to get the achievement. I need to do it anyway to like, I think you have to complete a run with each of them.
With all of them, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm eventually going to be getting around to it, but I'm just having so much fun with Iron Eye just because of like his character skill, just like dashing through and also being the one, something with like my personality in real life is like helping people is like, it's something that I enjoy. I'm not, I've got a ton of I'm an only child. I got a ton of selfish aspects. Don't get me wrong. But like, there's something about Iron Eye, like him being the best character to get someone up if you're in a battle without using an ult.
He's like a damage dealer, but like a very supportive character.
Yes, he's very supportive. And like for me, that's sort of like, it just lets me take like a little step back. Like, you and Sach do your thing in there, and I'm like, okay, like I'm very, very supportive, and it's kind of nice. It takes a little like pressure off of me because my role is like, if you just don't fucking go down, and we'll be all right. Like, so it takes a little stress off of me.
Going back to the multiplayer aspect, I have done some half-baked solo runs, whether it was when I was grinding this the Sentient Pest raid or the Equilibrius raid. I was running in alone, and I'm like, I remember Mike was saying he was playing alone, and I'm like, how did you enjoy that? And I was like, I went in alone, and I was like, this is not the way to play this game.
And I think that might come back to like personalities, right? Because I could not in a million years. Sach, we're talking about the same dude that like, well, this is a bad example because you went to Iceland by yourself, but like Sach went to Barcelona by himself. You went to Iceland, so this point is null and void. But let's pretend you didn't. Okay. So, but like, Sach has a strong like lone wolf streak into him. So like him doing that solo is probably just no big deal. But if I were to play this game solo, I would get bored in like 5 minutes.
It feels boring because it's like it's also difficult. Like I'm like I just can't take these enemies.
Yeah,
like,
I'm just not good enough to like. If the aggro's on me the whole time, I'm just not good enough.
I'm probably playing just a bit too aggressive. Like even when I played Iron Eye, I'm just like I tried it and I'm like, okay, I'm still having a problem here. Like I guess I'm just so used to fucking running and gunning. But then I'm like, how are you? I'm like super low leveled by the time the first circle comes in. Yada yada yada. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe I was just playing wrong. But I did want to mention because I said I was going to talk about this because I went back and listened to our Shadow of the Erd Tree review, and you kind of started off by saying like, hey, like just before this I was going through a breakup, and picking up Elden Ring kind of like helped you through that. And it's funny because not a year later, the same you said you broke up with your girlfriend in May, and that's when I went through a breakup. Not only a breakup, as you know, but I lost my job a few days later. So
just straight in the trenches. Just dropped straight into the trenches.
So that all happens. I go on a bachelor party, which was like kind of the last thing I wanted to do. And then I come back, and I have Nightreign waiting for me, and I have to admit, like locking in with you and Mike, going through all that stuff, and it's a bit better. It still sucks. It's a pretty lowest point in my life for sure, and it's been difficult to navigate. But like just kind of waiting for you guys to finish up work and then locking in and like doing like 3 or 4 matches, and it's like 3 or 4 hours go by, and like I kind of like forgot a little bit.
Just shut that brain off for just a little pocket of time.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to not think about shit. Yeah. So like You know what was funny too? Like, I'm sure you don't remember this, but I was in Shadow of the Erdtree, like, after you talked, I was talking about how I just started a new job, and I was so kind of stressed out, I couldn't focus on Shadow of the Erdtree.
Yeah.
And it's, like, so funny to listen back to that when I just started that job, and, like, how, like, nothing changed.
Yeah.
Like, since I started, and, yeah, like, I'm glad I'm out of there. You know, it's been a bit of relief, and even though it's like a whole new weight of stress, but yeah. And I just have to say thanks to you and to Mike, because it's been cool not having to like fucking beg people to play. It's the worst when you get a game with people and like they're just never on.
Yeah.
And like you're the one kind of being like, "Hey, want to get on?"
We're usually begging you to be the third because we'll get the fucking random, and we're like, "Gooch, you gotta."
Yeah, it's been kind of nice, like having somebody kind of lead the initiative to play, because I feel like I'm always that person.
Yeah.
Like Borderlands 4 is coming up in September. I don't know if you have any interest in that, but I'm like who am I gonna have to recruit to like play with me?
Right.
And, like like that game is based in co-op, so I kind of want to experience it with somebody. Like I feel like that's the way to do it, right? Like again, like with Nightreign, it's like you don't want to be playing that alone. Okay, if you have to play with randos, I guess that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You'll get through it. It'll be frustrating, but you'll do it. But
yeah,
you know,
the teamwork aspect and like the social aspect of it is just such a breath of fresh air, because at my age, I just turned 30.
Oh yeah, happy fucking birthday, by the way.
I turned 30 yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, your birthday was yesterday and I talked to you, and I knew that. Happy birthday.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, welcome to 30. It's been rough.
Yeah, so 30, it's like now I gotta really lock in. But it was something where, like, as time has gone on, like when we were younger, like everybody had way more free time, so there was way more multiplayer games being played, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like that, like teamwork aspect, you know, I was a huge Call of Duty guy, Gears, Halo, and like working as a team, doing the call outs and stuff. Like that part of my life, as far as gaming goes, very few and far between in the last few years, almost non-existent, right? So then this comes out,
absolutely,
and then now I'm like, okay, like this, we've got a little group here. This is working well for us, and it's back to the like, oh, okay, like we need somebody to be like a little tanky, and like let's do this, and we all get an agreement, and then we kind of like talk things over of like, it's probably not worth running out there. How about we do this? And you like, it's just this team working aspect that I didn't realize I was yearning for so much in video games. To have that back again, especially at the age of 30, is incredible, because I feel part of the like excitement that I have from gaming is like me, you, and Saj being on a run, for instance, and we've beaten this boss like 6 times, but we're trying to get some sort of achievement, or we're trying to do this, that, or the third, or whatever. And we're basically like, we're playing the game, but we aren't necessarily sometimes paying attention. We're having a conversation about something. Yeah. And then like somebody pings and we're like, yeah. And it's like, you're kind of just having this like bro sesh. And then it's like, oh, by the way, do you guys want to hit this real quick? It's like, yeah, it's something.
Like the whatever conversation we're having is more important than the actual game.
Right.
You know, obviously the first few rounds weren't like that, but no, dude, I agree. I mean, me and Trio have talked about this a lot. Especially as we've gotten older, of just like, and me and you, honestly, like how multiplayer gaming has really changed. And it's really, I mean, I think it's because of our age, but things are different, you know, like I'm curious, like what kind of gaming experience a 12-year-old is sort of having, and like how they're playing, because I feel like they're mostly playing multiplayer games, and like the single player stuff is kind of like in the trash for them. Like I don't know if like a 12-year-old is like looking at Elden Ring like maybe we were when Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls came out. Like some of us were playing those games, and you know, it was just, it's a different generation, it's a different time for gaming. It's things have changed.
I'm trying to like rattle my head here, and you'll be a good resource for this, but I'm trying to like rattle my head about like multiplayer games that have come out recently that are like totally fresh IP and aren't just like remakes. So like when we were younger, you were like a sequel.
Right.
When we were younger, we were very lucky because we had, you know, Gears 1 came out when we were what, like 11 or 12 or something.
6th grade, 7th grade?
Yeah, so around that age group. And then we had, obviously, Halo we were growing up with. And then the Call of Duty series was rolling out, and there were just so many multiplayer games that were just starting and were fresh, and were all of the devs on those teams were working so hard to like come up with like a fresh way to approach it. And Gears was adding Horde and so on and so forth. So there's so many titles that we had back then, and then we kind of like grew up with them. Mm-hmm. Those titles now, Gears is re-releasing the original, right? They're doing something there.
Reloaded.
Like Call of Duty's on Modern Warfare 29.
Black
Ops. They're just like, Black Ops, whatever.
7?
Yeah, 7, right?
Just got announced? Yeah.
Which is like, okay, like
unbelievable.
You're just like, all right, you're burnt out on that. And those big titles, again, there might be games out there that people are playing that are shooters of some sort. I know Marvel Rivals was killing it for a bit there.
Yeah, I loved Rivals.
Apparently that was great, but unfortunately I'm not like a big Marvel guy, so it didn't really have much of an appeal for me. But
sure.
It just feels like there's less out there that's new and fresh aside from a game like Marvel Rivals, obviously.
Yeah, but not even that's new and fresh. It's the Overwatch formula. We've had the game.
The formula, yes, the formula has existed.
It's a new IP, but like it's really not.
Yeah.
You know, it's Marvel characters. We've seen these characters before. It's
the
not like
the same,
when Overwatch came out in 2016, one game of the year, first of its kind, never seen before, new IP, new characters. Mm-hmm. It was fresh. Marvel Rivals, it is a good game, but and it's fresh to a degree, but not in the same sense. Where I think Nightreign, I think is fresh, and it is taking something that we've had for all these years, grew up with, and is sort of just spinning it on its head. Not doing anything like entirely new. It's kind of combining roguelike elements with Battle Royale and Dark Souls.
Right.
And kind of creating this Nightreign.
Yeah.
And it so far, and I think it will win an accolade for best multiplayer game of the year. I think it totally deserves it. Yeah, I think when we get to game of the year and we get to multiplayer, I think Nightreign will win because I think it stands out. It's very unique compared to everything else. I mean, sure, it wasn't what Elden Ring was when your grandma knew about Elden Ring for some reason, and everyone was talking about it. That was a very, we were not hot off of COVID, but COVID was still a thing, but we were just coming out of it in 2021.
Right.
And when that dropped, winter, February, people are kind of shut in. It was just the perfect storm.
Right.
That just kind of does happen to some games when they come out at an ideal time. Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizon came out the week or two the pandemic started.
Right.
And that probably exponentially raise their sales and the word of mouth about them, especially Animal Crossing.
For sure.
So, and I think, while Nightreign doesn't have that sort of moment, I still think this is a really unique title, and a lot of people are liking it and are playing it. And is there a lot of content to Nightreign? Not really.
Right.
There's one map. There's 7-8 bosses.
Yeah, and they're we're giving you more content. This is Everdark now. It's just the same boss, but they just kind of changed some moves.
And it's basically the hard mode of the bosses. And for me, that's kind of been interesting. I don't know. It's not like they added new achievements where I guess I'd be foaming at the mouth, all right, guys, we gotta lock the fuck in and get these.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weekly thing, and it doesn't really seem like there's a special reward. Well, no, there is. You get that that currency or that merchant.
Yeah, but you only have to
about.
So, but it seems like that was their way of why would these people want to beat this? And they're well, let's do this. How do we get them coming back? Right. That's right. They were trying to figure out the formula of it's just a harder boss. Would somebody even really care? I kind of already fought that boss. So I think there is that aspect of they're trying to grab more of the some more staying power by doing these things these Everdark bosses. But I think something that was a little bit annoying to me was it's weekly, right? Mm-hmm. So Gaping Jaw was the first one.
Yeah.
And it was a busy week for me. I mean, I still probably put in 14 hours worth of gameplay on it, but it's a busy week for me, and I didn't get to beat it. I probably fought it 4 or 5 times, didn't beat Gaping Jaw, the Everdark version, and then it was all right, well, great, it's gone. And I'm well, I don't want it to be gone. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I don't like FOMO content. It's a problem I've had with Apex and kind of why I stopped playing it because, I've missed so much at this point. I've been out of Apex for like 2.5 years, maybe just 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why would I go back?
Yeah.
I've missed so many characters, so many battle passes, and it's gone. Well, not the characters, but the battle passes are gone. I like how Marvel Rivals does it, where their battle pass is forever.
Yeah.
You don't miss it. I'm tired of games taking advantage of my time and my money by being FOMO.
Right.
Like,
They're like, if you don't get this in this amount of time, and it's kind of crazy for me, especially for a FromSoft game where the developers and also the players. The developers and also the players pride themselves on the difficulty of the bosses and like the payoff you get when you finally beat a boss. So they have to be as aware as anyone that like this could take, the Everdark could take you, unless you're playing all day every day, it could take you a little bit. It could take you a couple weeks to finally get there, figure it out, especially with like all of the little hidden tricks and stuff that's within the relics. And we haven't even started on the relics yet, but all of like, trying to like read through it, figure it out. Oh, I actually do this. I do this. I do that.
Right,
oh, okay.
and you're not just running into the boss every time. You're spending 40 minutes to an hour to get there. And while I like Nightreign's expeditions, like the length, I like the investment. It's also like, fuck, do I have an hour to play? It kind of reminds me of League of Legends. I played that in high school for a little while, and I just remember League matches were like 20 to 40 minutes up to an hour. And it's like, that's kind of an investment, especially, in, Apex games are always like 20 minutes. Sometimes they would go 30, 40, very rarely, but, it's kind of like shit, dude. Like, some games, they probably are all similarly length in a way. It just kind of depends on the boss fights, how long they take you. But yeah, it's like you're not just grinding at the boss. You have to do a whole expedition to get to the boss.
Which, again, like you said, there's something to be said about that because it keeps you locked in, and there's something about all of the work you put in to get there. Like, when you finally beat that boss, it's such a crazy payoff, especially when we were doing those runs, me, you, and Sach, and we beat 3 bosses in a row. And we came up on that dragon, and we were like, all right, I feel like we can't stop until we lose. And you needed to beat that dragon for the achievement. So it was for the 3rd one in a row.
Yeah, so I got up to 5. From that.
You got up to 5?
So it was, I think it was the last 5 bosses.
Okay.
I think that we did. We went from, what was the one before Dark Drift Knight? Equilibrius, Dark Drift Knight, the dragon, last boss.
Right.
And then I did another wolf.
You did another run, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like doing that, we're like, especially going into the dragon fight. Because you remember we had the combo where like, did we just do an easier boss?
We were both all going into that with no idea, right?
Yeah, and Sach hadn't done it. Like, we had no idea what the moveset was or anything.
Shit,
but we were just rolling. Like, the chemistry was crazy between us at that point, and we just like we smoked that dude. Like, we may have gone down. Like, one of us may have gone down one time.
I've only fought him once.
Yeah, me too. I've only fought him once. So there's like, especially when you get rolling like that payoff. But I do think there could be some sort of value in especially getting like people some more like staying power for the game. I would love, like, for instance, right before this, I was telling you I got like stuck at work doing some stuff, and I was like, I would have loved to have like snuck a little, because I was just fiending for it just a little. And I would have loved if it was like, I was just kind of like shaking.
Gotta get a hit.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And I'm holding the controller just to feel something. But like, it would be awesome if they were like, oh, you just want to like fight a boss and just kind of like screw around a little bit, like, and you don't feel like going back into Elden Ring.
You can't really you could do a remembrance, go in knowing you're not going to finish this run.
Yeah,
you're gonna get your little objective that's on the map, and then you're probably just gonna die or something like that.
And like, I would love doing if they had an option where it was like, okay, you beat the boss. Now you open up an option to, you can just fight that boss if you want. You can just go into the arena and fight that
maybe
boss.
for like a different set of rewards or something like that.
Yeah, like maybe you don't get relics from it or something, but like I would just love to play like Equilibrius Beast when I have like 20 minutes or something, and just give him a run and see how I do.
Right, and kind of look at the mechanics a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I was
but
thinking,
only after you beat it, because then
because I was thinking about that as I was talking about the length. It's like, what if I could just jump in, and it's not like, oh, I got to leave for a party in 20 minutes, but I have some time. Like, I'll just go like throw myself at the boss just to like see it. Like you can't really do that when you could in Elden Ring or in Dark Souls. I did want to talk about the relics because while I like them a lot, and I like the systems and kind of how it opens up all this build diversity within all the characters, it does rely on RNG.
Yeah, heavily.
There's no way you can just kind of, hey, I want, like, I don't know, I want one ability, and is there a way I can purchase a relic with that, like, somehow? Right. I feel like, and again, I'm not like looking for a specific one, but I know like the poison on the Iron Eyes bow ended up being like absolutely critical for our like first few bosses.
And then having it on the bow. And I agree. I think it would be cool if there was a sort of reward system based on relics where it was made known to you somewhere in that crazy Rolodex of information that they give you, where it was like, oh, if you want to increase your chances of getting a green relic slot that specifically caters towards stamina, then here's some thresholds. If you do a run and you equip a certain amount of weapons that have stamina boosts, like it sort of forces you to like try to like give yourself a better chance.
Right.
I think that would be great. Because the total RNG is like, you could have the best run of your life. We could all be level 15. You know, I could be out there as Iron Eye trying to get a specific Iron Eye relic and mow down like 130 enemies, and then we finish the boss and the relics come across and it's like, one for Duchess, one for Wilder, one that's like completely shot out. Like it doesn't, and you're just kind of like bummed. You're like, ah, shit.
Dude. Yeah, you know what's funny? Like when we beat a boss, I did not really care about what relics I got. Obviously, like we get Merc and we can buy skins and other relic rights with them, and like the emotes and the prattling pate things. But there's really not a ton.
Right.
Like, I've gotten all the achievements. I'm kind of done with the game unless you guys hit me up. Like, I'll definitely play.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and now that I'm done the achievements, I don't give a fuck what we do.
Right.
That was kind of like my main thing with, like, the RNG of getting Sentient Pest and Equilibrious Raid, which is the only thing I really don't like about, like, I like the different things going on in the world, like the Shifting Earths. I do enjoy that, but, like, the raids just seem to be like the achievement percent was like 30. Like people were getting it, but it's like, why have we've just never gotten this? And it's just like, I had to spend all this time just to like force it to happen and go on Reddit and like, you have to have these 3 camps. It has to be Lightning Ruin and a Poison Ruin and a normal cathedral. It's like, I just would rather play and run into it naturally, but like, that could literally not happen.
I was expecting to walk down here and seeing like a bunch of like pins and yarn and like you drawing points over and over trying to connect all the dots to like just get this thing to actually invade you. And I think I get that that's like the whole point behind it is like, hey, this is like a sort of rare thing, but the rarity that you were experiencing from it was crazy because I was doing runs with Sach, not even trying to get him, and we got him like 3 times out of 5. So it just sort of seems like a wild little thing. It would be cool if there was a little more info on their side, like be a little vague with it, like FromSoft typically is, but it's like, you know, Equilibrious Beast loves invading when you have a higher chance of him invading when you seem to be like hoarding your runes. Like you're level like 13, and remember the one time we had like 300,000 runes a couple days ago or whatever?
Last night.
Right, last night.
Last
like
night.
A situation like that where it's like an Equilibrious Beast is all like, it's all like currency based sort of, like he's sort of, it would be cool if it was like, they got a lot of runes, I'm invading these motherfuckers.
And as you were talking, and I was thinking this last night, I'm like, I wish there was a way I could like buy with Merc. Like the next game I go into, I can buy the 100% chance for Equilibrious to spawn, or same with the Shifting Earths. Because now that we've beaten the game, I was reading up on Reddit that it's like very rare to see the Shifting Earths now that we've gone through all the bosses, which I'm kind of okay with. Like, we've seen the volcano enough to know that like it fucks our runs just having it. The mountain was pretty fine. I like we've been calling it Noxtella, you know, the
city.
Yeah, the city was cool like at the end, but like the volcano was like it just being there was fucking our runs. The Scarlet Rot was cool.
Yeah,
but,
and the first time we got the legendary weapon down there, we're like, wait, what's down here? Like it was cool because it was new and it was like mysterious. But then I was doing a run with John Pignatelli a couple nights ago, and I'm trying to like show him some stuff. It was like his second time ever playing, and I'm trying to show him some stuff and trying to ping things. And I'm like, dude, we don't really have much on this map because there's a massive hole in the ground, and there's nothing within the massive hole in the ground.
Yeah, I think that was the run we were doing. It's just like we have like no options here.
It's like we're just completely out of options. So it's very, very annoying. Every time I see the volcano now, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this. But
yeah.
You know, I think maybe as time goes on, they'll have some different shifting earths, and they'll try to get players to come back based off of that, where there's, you know, these shifting earths or something that's like cool enough where you're getting essentially a new map from it. I think that's something that they could do.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what the DLC is going to be. It can't really just be more bosses and more characters.
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's fun for maybe a week.
Right, yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, I've fought this boss 6 times. We beat him. I played the new character a few times.
Right.
There we go. It's the same map. I'm not seeing anything different. I don't necessarily know if they need a different map, but like the shifting earths and stuff make it a bit more interesting. Maybe they have to add more of those. The game is kind of very small in scope. There's a reason it's $40.
Yeah.
You know, like you can feel it. Like,
yeah.
So, again, From has never done anything like this before. Of course, they released DLC for games, but they've never... This is a multiplayer game. It's not live service, but they have to keep it alive by keep injecting it with content. It's not like, oh, yeah, you know, you can just start a new character. You can't.
Right.
You start a new character every run.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's good for, like, experiencing different builds and different weapon sets and stuff like that, but it's not good for long-term... playability and replay value.
I think they're pretty good at listening to their players, seemingly. So I think that with the amount of players that are seemingly speaking of the same things, like a big thing that everyone I've talked to about this game brings up is the relic rights, the sorting system, the filtration. It's just so like janky. I would love a way to just filter for like a specific affinity or something. So there's like little tweaks that I hope they will roll out as time goes on. I think an awesome thing would be just increasing the amount of garb you can get, like those character skins. Dropping those and giving you a reason to like, because they're all pretty plain. There's a couple curveballs in there where you're like, Jesus Christ, what is this guy wearing? But for the most part, they're pretty. I got all pissed off because I finally beat Iron Eye's Remembrance, and it's just like his skin, and then there's just blood across it, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, I haven't gotten the Remembrance skins, but I've seen like the memes on like Instagram reels of like Wilder's just like a button.
Yeah, it's just like a little button.
And I guess going back to that. Like, I don't really have any incentive to do the remembrances other than when I jump on, it's like, I'll probably try to do something with them, like, as our runs to kind of progress that, because I do kind of want to unlock the stuff, and I still got a lot to go.
Give you a reason to be playing,
yeah. But, you know, like, when I sit down and think this game, you know, I put, like, 50 hours into it, I am kind of done with it.
I mean, what, like, think about it. What
like,
would there be for you to do?
Playing, like, I'm definitely going to be done. Like, it seems like Mike is still grinding at it, and you definitely wanted to go until you got all the achievements, which, you know, happy to help you with.
I've still got, like, 3 more, I think, that I got to
get.
But, yeah, that's the big thing is, like, so they're dropping a new Everdark.
It's sentient. No, it's Scorpion and... That one. Noster.
It's that one. Noster?
Yeah.
So they're dropping that, tomorrow, I think?
Yeah.
And, like, that's got me, like, a little further of, like, all right, well, now I got to beat this thing. And then it's great having new players come on because I'm doing runs with John, and because he hasn't faced these bosses yet.
Right,
and it's like,
right.
There's this new feeling of, like, all right, I got something to do. I'm helping my buddy out, right? But then John's going to get through and beat them. I'm going to beat the new Everdark, and eventually they're going to run out of Everdarks, right? It's just... week by week.
Or they'll rotate the rest.
Right,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to be
over.
sitting there, especially when the achievements are done. Like realistically, we're probably sitting at like, if I'm still playing
Sub
this
100
game,
hours.
yeah, like if I'm still playing this game 6 weeks from now, it's probably a miracle unless they start firing out a lot more, and then that gives us to say 6 weeks. Let's call it the end of August, just to be like, let's say I've got 2 more months because I love it so much and I just want to keep grinding and it's fun. So we've got August, and then they're not dropping anything until December at this point is what they're saying, Q4 for the DLC.
Right.
So like I'm basically going to be done relatively soon unless they start trying to sprinkle some little things in that keep that incentive going. We'll see though.
Yeah, but you're gonna play Death Stranding next, which I'm really excited.
Death Stranding. So not to get off topic, but I've been reading a lot that Death Stranding 2 is way better than 1.
It is. But like people have been asking me, Gooch, do I need to play Death Stranding 1? And I go, yeah, you fucking need to play Death Stranding.
Yeah, I mean,
1. I think like gameplay wise, no, but like Death Stranding 1 narratively, I think going into 2, like you're kind of doing yourself a fucking injustice by jumping into the middle. Like you gotta, I feel like I said in our Discord, I'm like, you gotta like earn it.
Right. It's not just, I get where people are coming from when they think of like video games and people are like, I didn't play the first one, but I played the second one and it was fine. You didn't really need to know the story. But this game, the way that clips that I've seen and the way that I've heard you talk about it and what I've read online is it's somewhere, the first one is somewhere in between a movie and a video game. Yeah, and I think movies is like, I'm not going to watch the second Lord of the Rings without ever seeing the first or having like read the books, because you're going to be like, wait, what the hell is going on here? I don't know. You're going to be missing out. And especially like when it comes to like little character development.
I mean, the intro of Death Stranding means so much more having played the first one.
Right.
Like like the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. And then like you jumping in fresh, it's like,
right. Yeah.
Cool. I guess like who are these characters? And yeah, I mean like, and to see like where the pacing goes with the first game and its tone to the tone and the pacing of the second game, like, yeah, Kojima Productions learned a lot from the first game and definitely address those criticisms in the second game, but it also feels tonally correct that the game would be faster.
Okay.
And you get into things a little bit more faster, whereas the first one is a bit more much more slower and methodical and really kind of builds you up to your next upgrade and like what's going to help you deliver further and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how do I relate this back to Nightreign? I don't know.
Well,
I was looking for a pacing thing, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. So, well, that is the connection right there. So you're talking about how this is a game where you need to play the first one to like fully understand the second one. On the flip side of Nightreign, to try to connect it to Nightreign, this is a game where I don't think you need to know anything about Elden Ring or any of the other.
But I would find it really interesting. It must be very difficult to play Nightreign first.
It would definitely be difficult.
You're on a clock, bro.
Yeah.
Like you don't really have time to, go in your items and kind of like look around. Like you have to do that on the fly very quickly. Like if Elden Ring Nightreign is your first Souls game, it's probably going to be a bit stressful.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to be completely lost, and you're going to be asking your buddy who got you to play the game for the first time, and he played Elden Ring. You're going to be like, wait, so what is the red bar is what? Health? Okay, the blue is, what do I drink something to get the blue? I drink this to get the red up. Do I drink something with that? And he's
right. It's like, well,
yeah, it's like, well, in Elden Ring you did. This is like starlight shards, and you're like, okay, well, how do I get starlight shards? And it's like, there's going to be... That's such a crazy learning curve. Yeah. But I do think it's a game that there's no real lore behind it. There's nothing that's like, sure, we knew what the jails were and we knew what this was and that helped, but it doesn't actually matter. You could play this game without having any background info on any FromSoft games.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what From does next. Meaning, like, how does Nightreign... Like, obviously, Nightreign is going to inform this Duskbloods IP that's going to be on Switch too, and I want to talk about that for a sec. But it's like, what is like, are we getting an Elden Ring 2? We don't really know what's next from them. They did Armored Core 6 last year, which was them getting back to an IP they haven't done in a long time. They have some other IPs like Kingsfield that they haven't dipped into in a while, and now they're exploring multiplayer and new IP. And we didn't mention with Elden Ring Nightreign, it's a huge asset flip and asset reuse, which we don't really see a lot in games anymore. If you think Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, there's a lot of asset reuse in that.
Right.
There are other examples, but like, Nightreign there is some new stuff and some new bosses, but like we're using fucking Smelter Demon from Dark Souls 2 and Nameless King from Dark Souls 3, like, because time. Right. It's not, there's no lore behind it. It's just like, we built this already, we're gonna reuse this. So I want to ask you this: the Switch 2 is out. Yeah. You're a From Software fan. Yeah. Are you going to buy the Switch 2 to play Duskbloods, a multiplayer game on the Switch 2? It sounds insane.
No, I'm not going to buy it. So I just got a Switch like a year ago. No, less than a year ago. Probably, I recently got a Switch.
For what? I'm curious. Did you just see it on sale?
Honestly, I got it for a flight. I was going to be flying somewhere, and I was like, well, I just need something that. So I got the Switch Lite. Like, I didn't even need
that's what I was going to ask.
And I was just playing Metroid, and I was like, I loved it. It was awesome. But like, for me, if they were to... For me, it needs to come out first, and then I need to see the like chatter about it. I need to hear the feedback. Yeah. And then if people are blown away by it, then I would probably get a Switch 2 for that, because everything they put out thus far, I have been a fan of, so I would totally give it a shot, but I don't think it has it. So I was watching some of the gameplay of it, and it's not, the gameplay itself didn't really draw me in too much, because
it's pretty quirky looking.
It's quirky, right? It's like a very...
It's like Industrial Revolution kind of theme.
Yeah, it's sort of this like bizarre little feel to it.
Bloodborne-y.
Whereas like when Elden Ring dropped, I was like, dude, we're talking about like, it's a formula that is proven. It's the same thing that made me love Skyrim. It's just this feeling of like knights, dragons. Like, it's a very like easy, it's a layup for me, but me being a person that those things are layups for, watching that gameplay is the opposite. It's not a layup for me. So I need somebody to be like, yeah, you know what, dude, you're actually probably going to love this game.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you were to ask it back to me, I would probably, definitely say no. And if you listen to this podcast, you could easily answer that before. Yeah, it's a weird. It's weird. Like, when we saw that trailer, and I was like, holy shit, what? Mm-hmm. This seems so strange. Like the Nintendo user base, I would not say are Souls fans. Of course, there's crossover. Like, absolutely. But like, it almost feels like this game is like, of course it's not going to be as successful.
Yeah, there's no way.
and that made me think of one critique of Nightreign we haven't talked about. It should be crossplay. We shouldn't be playing this game where I can only play with the Xbox people. It's 2025. Welcome to the fucking world of multiplayer, man, where things are crossplay. I can play with people on PC and PlayStation. Like,
yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Something that I've been seeing on Reddit is there's been a lot of cheaters, and a lot of them have predominantly been on PC. Yeah, which is the same thing that I experienced during COVID when Warzone was happening, Call of Duty Warzone. Like, you had the people that were cheating, and they were like always PC players. We have never encountered a cheater on our end. Usually we're playing with each other, but like even the randoms are never cheaters. Again, with that being said, you are losing out on this whole time. I've been saying what I love so much about it is the social aspect. You are losing out on, like, if you had PlayStation, we would never have done 40 runs together.
For sure. So, and I'm weird. If you listen to this podcast, you know that. I played most of the From Software games on Xbox. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I know some people are getting on PlayStation. I'm going to play on Xbox. Right. Sekiro and Bloodborne, because they're exclusives, are why I play them on PlayStation, but everything else has been on Xbox. So when I saw you two were getting it, I'm like, oh, good, I'll have somebody to play with. And it ended up working out even better than I thought, because you guys are actually playing the game. You didn't play it for like 2 or 3 days. We did 2 or 3 matches, and I never saw or heard from you guys again, which, going back to that conversation we had, is kind of the norm with multiplayer games. Like I remember Halo was like a few week game and then everyone fell off. Even Rivals was a few month game and then everyone kind of trickled away by the time we got to March and April.
I feel like people are just trying, like always looking for that like next big thing. The staying power is a little more difficult nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
But when I'm thinking of this social aspect and the staying power and so on and so forth, I'm wondering if we're talking about the concerns that they could have with staying power because of the lack of content that there is right now. I'm wondering if they just don't give a shit. I'm sort of wondering if this for them...
highly possible.
I'm wondering if this for them was a sort of like trial run of like, let's try our hand at this.
You're talking about Nightreign or Duskblood?
No, I'm talking about Nightreign.
Okay.
I'm wondering if they're saying, let's try our hand at this, see how this goes, and then if it goes great, then maybe we can work towards a game just like it, but that has way more lore. There's way more staying power to it.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is sort of like a dry run for them where they're like, oh, you guys
are...
It's
a testing ground.
Right. They're like, oh, well, we had X amount of players over this span of time and we only put out this much effort into it. Like you said, they're like reusing bosses from previous Souls games, whatever. So I wonder if for them, they're like, well, let's just see how this goes. If people fall off after a week, then we know we didn't do our job, but we think we have a runway of at least 6 weeks here. And if people are still playing it at a high clip after like 6 weeks, I'm just throwing random numbers out.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Then maybe we have something here and let's really give it a run.
And think about it, the price point is definitely what you're talking
about.
Right,
it's $40.
They want to get people in and they don't want people to complain about the price. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but games are going up to $80. They just went up to $70. Like, and that's Nintendo's fault. Nintendo opened those gates. Mario Kart World is an $80 game.
Yeah.
And they invited everyone else to also make their games $80. It kind of sucks. But that's just the world we live in. Fucking economy.
While we're doing a hot take episode, I have a hot take. I think that the price point that they've been sitting at is almost criminally low. Because of how much effort goes into making certain games. Now, not every game, but certain games.
No, you're on something, Jack.
Because I think about how Elden Ring was $60. Like $60 in 2025 is like what? You go out to a brewery and get 2 beers, fries, and a sandwich, and you're like, all right, that'll be $55. Like you're talking about like a 2-hour experience that's already $55, right?
Yeah.
So I think of Elden Ring and so many games that are incredible games that are being, they're the like base game is, to me, I'm like, oh, it's only $60? So I actually think, now, I will say now that you have that first uptick, I remember when the uptick from $50 to $60 happened. And I was like, oh, okay, there was that change, and now we have this increase in price. The only thing I'm fearful of is that they see, I mean, this can be the case with anything, but they, being the powers that be, see that like, oh, if we just nudge it up to this, they're kind of going to buy it anyway. And it's like, well, will they buy it at $120? Like,
okay, so you're getting into a really good point that some podcasts I've been listening to have talked about it. I know me and Trio, we probably talked about it to a degree, but not so much some of the other podcasts I listen to. GTA 6, they can price that at $100 and then get away with it.
I was gonna say, GTA 6 especially, 100 might even be like the amount of buzz that's been there. Like if they roll that out for $120,
it's the most expensive media project ever made.
Right? Yeah, and if they're like, if they really get into like a sales pitch on it, where it's like we can guarantee X amount of hours of gameplay, and this is an experience you've never experienced before, and you're going to get so much out of this. You're going to get basically a full movie out of it. You're going to get new mechanics. You're going to get this, that, and the third. Like, experience the thrill of like, if they like do this whole marketing push, they're going to have people.
Don't have to. It's GTA.
Right. So like $100, $120, I feel like it's going to sell either way. And I think
people are going to buy systems for this game.
Yeah.
It's going to, and like the PlayStation 5 is only getting more expensive.
Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting to see what they price it at, because the rest of the industry might, so again, it's GTA, so it's sort of an outlier, and it's been so long since the last one. But I wonder if the rest of the industry will think to themselves like, GTA did it for 115. Like, can we do 105?
I would say no. Like some companies, like the Outer Worlds, is a sequel from Obsidian. They did Fallout New Vegas, and the Outer Worlds 2 is $80, and a lot of people are upset about that. Borderlands 4, there was conversation of if 2K or Take-Two, who owns Rockstar as well,
right?
They also own Gearbox. Are they going to make Borderlands? Randy Pitchford, who is the CEO of Gearbox, was talking on Twitter a bit stupidly about like, oh, do we know if it's going to be 70 or 80? Well, it's not up to me. It's up to, Take-Two. And they made it $70. And obviously there's some thinking that Take-Two it doesn't matter what Borderlands is priced because what's GTA 6 going to be priced? It's an interesting conversation because games are priced very strangely nowadays. Like you were saying, they used to be only 50. Let's go back to PS2 era 50, and then 360 PS3 they got bumped up to 60, and just recently they went up to 70. But even back in the 90s, games were very strangely priced. $80 games, like it was. People don't remember that. Our generation doesn't remember that because we weren't playing games back then.
Yeah,
but games were not always $50 even in the 90s.
Yeah. So I think really what we're going to see here is I think it's going to be on like a game by game basis. Like certain games don't, the amount of effort that's put into it by a studio, like they have to read the room, and especially if you're a new IP and you're trying to make it, like you can't roll your game out at $80.
Right.
Nobody's going to buy it because they're going to be in the store.
Proven.
Right, yeah, you're not proven, right? But these proven studios and these proven IPs, I think we could definitely see them start to like try to creep up. Even right now we're looking at like $70, but it might be a thing, unfortunately, where it's not like when you went into GameStop and you knew every new title was going to be this exact dollar amount, and then the ones that were like used or were older would drop down. Like if GameStop was still, if we could walk into a GameStop next year, are we going to have that top shelf that's just now come out? Is that going to be every game is going to be, they're all brand new, but they're all differently priced? Or is it going to be like they're going to stick with that price point there, and then the lower ones will be differently?
And one of the new trends, Nintendo has sort of been putting this into practice a little bit with the Switch too, physical games costing more than digital games.
Right.
Which is like, you're just taking advantage of somebody like me who wants games physically and likes the games up on the shelf and stuff like that, and like I'm a collector, where somebody like you don't really care,
right?
And that's fine. I'm not here to judge anyone for buying digitally, but like there is an opportunity there that Nintendo looks to be taking advantage of. No one else really, but like then we were talking about Death Stranding 2. That collector's edition had a digital copy, and it's like I'm paying all this money for the biggest box I can, and it's like you can just give me the game physically,
right? Yeah.
And I'm unemployed right now, and I ended up I buy fucking 2 copies of the game. I also pre-ordered it when I had a job.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that I regret it, but it's just like
No, yeah.
Whatever, but I mean, I still bought the game twice.
While I'm not like that with video games, I am like that with movies, with DVDs, Blu-rays. I especially love having going through and buying something off of the Criterion Collection, because there's like the director handpicked these shots or whatever, like these outtakes, and puts them in like a little booklet and tells a little story. Or I bought the Dazed and Confused Criterion edition, and it came with a poster. Like there's these things that if you love a movie, or you're looking forward to it, or you support the director, like we were talking earlier about how if you support a studio, you want to have something physical, because just buying it, like if I was like stuck with movies just through streaming, and if I had to buy them through streaming, I would be like a little disappointed, where I'm like, oh my God, I've been waiting forever for this movie to come out, especially if movie theaters end up going downhill. Don't even get me started on that. But like, you would be like, okay, I'm going to buy it. And you press it and it's like, all right, you can watch it now. Whereas like I bought something from the Criterion Collection, and it got delivered, and it came, and it was like all of these cool little behind the scenes shots and these stories that were being told and quotes, and there's these booklets, and there was the one thing that I got was like literally this tall and had so much packed inside of it, and all of these things contributed to a very high price point. So like it's almost, if you're a video game lover, a movie lover, somebody who loves pretty much anything now, you are basically being...
You have some sort of passion somewhere.
Yeah, if you have any sort of passion in 2025, you're basically being punished for being such a big fan, because the price point goes through the roof, because you can't... You're like, oh, I want... Death Stranding is a bad example, but like, oh, I want this physical...
No, I mean, it makes... Yeah, no, I think it's a good example.
Yeah, so it's
especially
like you want
me.
that physical, and it's like, okay, well, if they want this, well, we should just make it a full package, and then...
I'm almost surprised they physically released Nightreign because of what
I didn't even know they physically released it, to be honest.
because there are... And, I mean, that's going into another perspective. Some games are not even releasing physically, they're just digital.
Yeah.
The game industry is in such a flux in so many different ways. It's sort of hard to keep track. There's a new conspiracy or some sort of controversy every week about something somebody's doing. It's just it's never ending. And From is a part of that just as much as anyone else.
Yeah. I especially talking about me turning 30, both of us being 30 now. Is there a chance that we're just the old men on the porch shaking our fists, and the people who love video games that are 16, 17 don't give a literal shit about what we're talking about right now?
They may not be consuming... I mean, not that you even consume games like I do, but if you're listening to this podcast, you're in a very small niche already. Our 17-year-olds listening to reviews about games, I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know they're watching streams,
yeah,
but that's always something I've been interested in. I don't know if I'd ever, I don't know how I would recruit a 17-year-old. Like, come on our podcast and talk about being 17 and like what you're into. It'd be kind of creepy.
It's like Stranger Danger. You got cop lights all around.
But like, it is kind of curious. Like what are exactly they are consuming? Like, they're not watching movies. They're watching things on their phone. Are they watching reviews? Do they give a shit about being in the news cycle? It's interesting because you're onto something, because our generation is different than that generation.
Right.
So we may kind of, like, the answer to your question might be yes, but it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, like I don't know of, when we were younger, waking up being someone who played video games on Christmas Day was like, you were handed a case, and you're like, I can't believe I got Halo 3. You're not going to see me and it's winter break, and it's like, you're not going to see me for a week.
You and like 6 other your friends.
Right. And you're just like,
just got Halo 3, and like some have already had it.
And you've got this like physical copy, and your parents had to go out, and eventually they could order online, but like they had to go out and get it. And there's this this whole package deal that comes with it. And I was thinking about some of the dudes I work with, and some people that I know have kids around our age from when we like really loved. We could ask for specific video games, anything from like 7 years old up, basically, right around there. And I'm thinking like they would talk about like, yeah, he really wants this game. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that for Christmas? And it's like,
right? Do you buy?
I just tell them, and then I just get them like the digital code or something. And it's like, it's not the same, because remember, like, open it and you like get the corner of the package. And you're like,
it's a game. You know it's a game.
Like, I know it's a game, but did they listen? What did they get on the list?
Did I get?
Like, I listed this game like 8 slots down. I like had like 10 video games listed that you wanted, and you're like, I hope they listen to the like vertical list here, because number 1 was like Gears of War 2 or whatever. Like they better. Right. So you're like opening it and you see it and you're like, oh my god, like that's Marcus Phoenix there, and you're like, it was such a like feeling, and it's just crazy to me that just doesn't really happen anymore.
A lot's changed. Even From has changed. This what the game we're sitting here reviewing, it's different.
Yeah.
They've never done anything like this, and nobody sitting here a year ago probably thought they were going to do this. This was a really out of left field move. And we don't really know if that move was worth it. Like we're saying, we know we have another multiplayer game coming, but it's a Switch 2 exclusive. But what's next? They're definitely working on the next big thing, but like, doing Elden Ring 2 seems to be the move. We know Dark Souls is kind of done.
Yeah.
Bloodborne Remaster has been something people have wanted for a while. It doesn't seem like Miyazaki is interested in doing that, but will there be a Bloodborne 2? I also don't know. It's kind of hard to predict where they're going to go. Where we could, I don't know, CD Projekt Red, like we know we're getting another Witcher, we're getting another Cyberpunk, but like anyone could have told you like they're probably going to do another Cyberpunk game and they're probably going to do another Witcher game,
right.
and
especially how they did, especially Cyberpunk after they patched up some of the stuff that started out with that game. But
right. There's a lot in that world to do, whereas like Elden Ring, they brought George R.R. Martin to do the lore, and that I think that was like a pretty interesting and cool move, but like. I don't necessarily know if there's more to do with it.
So that's what my fear would be.
At least from a narrative perspective.
Let's say they announce an Elden Ring 2. I'm like, sweet, dude. I'm definitely going to get it.
Fuck.
I'm so afraid, though, that I get in there and I'm like, I kind of already did this.
That's the problem with sequels to Game of the Year games.
Yeah.
Even Death Stranding. It's Death Stranding.
Yeah.
But it is a bit different because I've been talking about like Spider-Man 2 is a great example. Spider-Man 1 was so good that bar was almost impossible to reach again, and it's the same game.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes down a little bit. It's not the new.
Yeah.
And the narrative not as good as the first one, down more.
Right.
You know, it's kind of hard to like when you have this hit, it's kind of hard to do it again.
Yeah, how do you follow it up? Do you follow it up by, there's two schools of thought. Do you follow it up and say, like, we know this formula works. They love this. Let's try it and just assume that they're not going to be bored with the formula. Or do you take the game itself, Elden Ring, and say, okay, like, we did all of this with the first Elden Ring. Let's not just stick to that exact formula. Let's have, obviously, continue the lore and do this, that, and the third. But, like, let's try to put these curveballs onto it. Which, if you do that, that's a little bit of a risk as well because the curveballs might not be what the people want. So, it's interesting for sure.
And going to a point you said earlier, it's like, okay, do we do Nightreign base but with totally new assets? And, really dive into it full bore rather than the $40 thing we got, which is great, but it is a small package.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, that is something people are noticing. It's like, like if you don't have friends and maybe nobody's playing it with you, it may not be worth it even for $40 to hop in and try to like fuck around with a bunch of randos who aren't taking it seriously or don't know how to play or whatever.
Yeah, I think that it's the game is in a place, and the way that I'm reading it, and I could be reading it totally wrong, is it seems like FromSoft is preparing to make a pivot and go into the unknown, especially with them putting out a multiplayer game on Switch 2, which is there something behind that where they feel like that's a market where they can get like a good read of the audience of like what a multiplayer looks over there? Or I don't know what they're shooting for there, but that's two curveballs that are coming from them right now. They have to be doing this in preparation, or they're trying to they're kicking the tires a little bit to see what their actual next big thing is. These feel like stepping stones to see if it's something they want to dive headfirst into.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else of Nightreign? This has been
man.
a great conversation, a very, very expanded conversation for sure too,
and
which is fine and great.
It's there's. I feel like I don't think we said a ton about Nightreign because there's not a ton to say about Nightreign.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me and Trio, this might have been a very quicker conversation.
Yeah,
for sure. But there, like, sometimes it is good with these smaller games that don't have a lot to talk about to talk about these expanded topics that feed back into.
Yeah, it's all connected, just like everything. While I can put my my Buddhist monk cap on for a second, it's all connected, right? So we're talking about a game, but we're also talking about the industry, and FromSoft, they're not idiots, so they're reading the industry. They're trying. It seems like they're gearing up to try something new. I'll be here for it. When they do take that, if and when they take that leap of faith, I'll be here on the podcast talking to you about it,
dude. What a fucking rap, Jack Mullen. You're good at this.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I don't think I've ever really said that to anybody on my podcast that I guess is very good, but you're good, dude.
You're flattering me, man. My cheeks are already red because I'm always sweating, but if they weren't already red, I would be blushing right now. I appreciate I would love to come on here to talk about pretty much anything, man. So, again, thank you for having me, brother.
Absolutely. And thank you if you've been watching live on twitch.tv/Delco Network. We very much appreciate your time. But if you didn't watch live, you can find this podcast wherever podcasts are found. Just search Delco Network, as well as the video version on youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network. We're on social media everywhere with an @ at Delco Nerds, and Threads, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And as well as facebook.com/Delco Nerd Network. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. And you can also find our email there, delconerds@gmail.com. Send us an email with your comments, questions, concerns, anything for the good of the group. We'd love to hear it. For Jack, my name is Anthony Ragucci. Thanks for watching. Stay nerdy, and we'll see you next time.